Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to the Mom series, The Misunderstanding of Multiplicity. I'm not going to talk about multiplicity. I'm going to share a crochet project for those of you that like dragonflies. This is a dragonfly blanket, baby size, which is, the lighting is here. I got to get the lighting right. Here we go. It's a light purple. Any minute the sun will be completely coming up, and you can see this is a lavender, and it's made by, this color comes from Red Heart Soft Steps Red Heart Baby, or it's Red Heart Soft Steps Baby Lavender. And it is acrylic, and it's a 4 medium worsted weight yarn, and I'm using a 4.50 G hook. Okay, and you can, there's no gauge for this. You can make this blanket by just using a multiple of 16 plus 6. So that means you're going to go ahead and chain up, make a slip knot, chain up 16 stitches, and then add on 16 more stitches and continue 16 after that for the length you want. And then at the end of your succession of 16 stitches, you'll go ahead and add 6 stitches. So whatever number that is, make sure it's 16, 16, 16, 16 plus 6. I have 118 stitches here. And this is a variation of the Call the Midwife Blanket, where you are lining up grid filet border blocks all together and doing like a little flower or cross in the middle, which became popularized in the 1940s and 50s and made a popular reoccurrence back in the media through the TV show Call the Midwife. So this is the Call the Midwife blanket, which is also 16 plus 6. And this yarn is Lion Brand anti-white. And with that one, I used a 4.5, and I think it's just much, which is a queen size, so it's much bigger. So the way this works is you go ahead and chain up your chain, and you're going to, once you get your chain done, you're going to double crochet into the 6th chain from the hook. You don't count. Now I'm not working on the first row because I'm actually continuing on. This is the first row of the pattern though. So just to get that first row started, make sure you double crochet into the 6th chain from the hook, which you would not count this, but you would count down your chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You double crochet into that one, and actually, what that's going to give you is your first turn, which makes these little grid border, right? Okay, so once you do that, then you're going to double crochet. You're going to skip 2, skip the first 2, chain, and double crochet into the next chain on your. It looks different here because I'm not doing that very first row, although I'm not beginning it with a chain. I'm working into my work. And then you're just going to chain 1, skip 1, and double crochet in the next. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the next. you'd start the row by double crocheting into the next. I'm doing a stitch here. Row 1, so chain 1. Just make sure you know where your stitch is coming out of. Count 1, go on to the next. And that's what creates this grid border all the way around it. Okay. Chain 1. And it's very easy to forget to chain 1 if you're going fast or setting down your work. The best way I remember it is you're going to see that you're going to be able to have give here if you haven't chained your 1. And once you chain your 1, you still have give, but you already have a loop on the hook, right? Or you have a loop below it right there. You can see it. One of the main things with doing grid work, grid or filet work, is sometimes you will keep going, like right here. Okay? I have to remember to chain. You think, well, that's so easy, but sometimes the most repetitive thing can be the easiest to forget. So you're just chaining, and it's the next stitch. So that will be your first row. It's just creating, just like I'm doing here, a grid border. So I'm going to finish that up, and I will meet you at the end. You can use any yarn for this. You have a thick yarn, just adjust your needle size so you can see your work. This works for very thin, for shawls, for table runners, for drapes, for pillowcases with a thicker yarn, for if you have macrame yarn, use that. And a big needle, you can make pillowcases with it. And if you were following the call the midwife, see just what I said. I have to remember to do that. If you were making the call the midwife blanket, you would begin the same way. And if you can do the stitches in this, you could do the stitches in the other, on the call the midwife too. There's also one more variation out there I've seen, excuse me, which is butterflies. It's just adding on a little extra wing to it. You can really play with this blanket pattern. The dragonfly, if you look at any crochet pattern for any dragonfly, you'll be able to work it into Call the Midwife. You can also make there's 2 ways to make the tail. You can make the tail longer if you want to. You could chain 2 instead of chaining 1, like you'll see when we make the tail. And you would just have a longer dragonfly tail. And you could also make the head of the dragonfly different than what you see here by just doing a triple crochet instead of a double crochet. So you can kind of play with it a little bit if you want to. And then, of course, you can do, excuse me, any border you want. And you can get real frilly with it, put lace through the border if you wanted to. You can keep it very minimalistic by the yarn you choose. I just think, it's the time of year for dragonflies. They're everywhere. It's kind of cool. Where I live, we have a beautiful courtyard. Excuse me. And after it rains, and in this kind of heat, they're just everywhere. Boy, what an air show they put on. It's beautiful. It's better than an airplane show. My cat just loves my cat. His name is Dustin. He just loves watching them. He's mesmerized by them because, you know, they're back and forth, up and down, all around. Yeah. So we had a really rainy night last night. It's really humid. And it's going to be just as hazy and rainy and muggy today. We got rain the next 3 days. Lots of dragonflies and butterflies and competition out there. But why not? Why not make a dragonfly blanket? You can use excuse me, you can use multicolors for the dragonfly for this pattern, but you wouldn't want to make it a short self-striping yarn because it might get too busy and take away from the shape. It will get too busy if it's a short striping. If you wanted to use a long self-striping variegated yarn, that would probably excuse me, I'm sorry. That would probably work. It would, or an ombre yarn, or a cake or mandala yarn that blacks out in different colors. That would work fine. Or you could just change your color. If you changed your colors on an actual row, like any row you chose to, you would see the color change in that first row, and it would kind of look like Fair Island floaters when you're doing shape work. So what I would say is if you are going to do different colors for this, I would work up an area of blacks and maybe cast on I think 16 and 16 is 32 plus 6. So if you cast on 38, I mean, if you chained up 38, you would get 2 blacks. 1, 2. And then if you just kept going all the way down, like maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 in purple, and then fastened off, you'd have a big block of 4 little blocks, shapes, set it aside. And then maybe you wanted to do white, pink, blue, whatever you want to do. You could work them up in like granny, but bigger blocks, and then assemble them together. That would be a cool way to change colors too, or just change color. The way I do it is when I get to the last 2, before I yarn over and pull through, I would add my new yarn on and pull it through. And let's start at the end. So again, you're yarning over, pulling through 2, and you would yarn over and pull through 2. If you were going to change your color, add your color on, pull it through. Work it in a little bit, and then start your new color and fasten off that old color, or you could just leave it and cut and fasten off. This is row 1. If you're truly beginning with row 1, you would be working from your slip stitch and chaining up your desired number of multiple of 16 plus 6. and then beginning your filet work right here. There's two ways you can work this. You can work into every stitch you see, or where we're doing chain work, you can work around the chain. With my white blanket, I'm working into the stitches instead of working around the chain, but you'll see what I'm talking about in a minute. So, and if your little border filet blacks don't look even while you're working it up, they will be as long as you remember to chain one. Always. You just kind of got to pull them apart, and when you wash and block it, you just got to pin your little finger block and just pin your little border. But what's most important is when you get to the end, that 4 that you chain in between, and all the time you're turning chain 1. You're going to go into the 3rd chain from the hook. So 1, 2, 3, and there's the 4th one. So just going to maintain your edge and your border. Try to get through the 2 vertical bars so it doesn't look too loose. Then chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It doesn't have to be as tight as that is. I was just not pulling my yarn enough. So row 2. You can either work into the stitches. I've been working around these spaces. So I'm going to go ahead and skip the first 2, which are right here. 2 stitches, and go into the first double crochet. And row 2 of this pattern is you're going to go ahead and double crochet 7. So you've maintained your border there. So you can go into this little stitch right here, and some people find it hard to get into that little stitch right there. I do too. Do it like this, or you can go into the top post of the stitch, and then inside the 1 chain space, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4. You just have to remember to count it. 5, 6, 7. All right. And what you're making here, if you get your 7 stitches, you're making the tail to the and it will follow the head, the tail. You're making the tail of the dragonfly, which will follow the head of the dragonfly. So you're going to chain 1, you're going to skip 1, and double crochet into the next double crochet. Now, if you wanted the it would throw off your stitches, so you'd have to add on some stitches, but you could make it longer. You could add another chain in there to make it longer. And then you just go on with 7 stitches again. So you double crochet either into the chain space or into the chain, into the stitch. 2, 3, 4, 5, what this should bring you to, if you're counting correctly, is it will bring you right up to your border in between when you get to 7. and then you chain one, and you skip one and go into the next. That maintains your border around your black. Okay? So you have your little space here. That's the very bottom, the tail of the dragonfly. So now you just do 7 across. That's all you're doing. You're maintaining your border blocks in between by chaining one, skipping one, double crocheting into the next, and then you're getting to that border and doing the same thing, the border blocks, and then double crocheting 7 by either going into the stitch or the chain one space, little grid. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Try that again. And just count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I am right on top of my last tail. Make a little space there. And then I'm just going to go on to the end and I'll be right back. That's all you're doing is 7, 6, 3. Then you're up to your border again. You chain one, skip over to the next, double crochet, and you just go on with your 7. Okay, so I'll be right back and I'll meet you at the end. Okay, welcome back to the end of row 2, where you're going to chain 1. We should have ended on 7, succession of 7, and you have your little turning chain here. So you count up 1, 2, 3. The 1, you go into that third one right here. I'll go through that one to make sure I get through 2 bars at the end. And then row 3, so you chain up 4 again. 1, 2, 3, 4. We all need a little magic in our life. Some butterflies and dragonflies, right? Alright, so that's how it's looking so far. Row 1, row 2, at the beginning of your tail. Row 3, we're going to skip our first 2, 1, 2, and we're going to go ahead and double crochet into that first double crochet. And we're going to do 4. So what we've just done there is we've maintained our little border there. So 1, we count that as 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And I would chain these kind of a little bit loose. And then we're just going to skip over those 3, 1, 2, 3, go right into that little tail space and single crochet right into it. Grab our yarn, over, and that's our first wing, the bottom wing. I'm going to chain 3. And this time we're going to skip 3, 1, 2, 3, go into that 4th stitch, and I'm going to double crochet into it. So yarn over, so it will look like this. This is our bottom wing. They line up very nicely. Count this as 1 and double crochet 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And that should bring you right up to your little border filet block, which it does. And you want to maintain that, so you chain 1, skip 1, and you go into the next one and you double crochet. That's what. So again, you count this as 1, 2, 3, 4. Chain 3, count 3, 1, 2, 3, and single crochet right into your little tail space, and then chain 3, skip 3, 1, 2, 3, double crochet, so yarn over into the 4th stitch. You've got your second wing, bottom wing. You go ahead and you count this as 1, 2, 3, 4. And that should bring you up to your next border block area. Chain 1, skip 1. You're just going to do that all the way to the end. I'll meet you at the end. Don't forget to chain 1, and we'll go on to the next one together. Be right back. Okay, so welcome to the end of row 3, and you should be ending on 4 after your last bottom dragonfly wings. So you count that as 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and an easy way to remember this row, wait a minute, 1, 2, yeah. So you would chain 1, 1, 2, 3, count up. If you have to scooch these over to see your turning chain, do that, like I'm doing right now. 1, 2, 3. Make sure you get into the 3rd. So that second one from the top there to the 3rd from the bottom, because it's a 14 that you turned with. On in a minute. Alright. So I'm going to maintain that, so you're going to make sure to get that edge there. Chain 4. So, yeah, okay. So, carrying right along. Now we're going to be doing a succession of 3 stitches. So we're going to go ahead and skip first 2 and come into the next double crochet. Got our edge there. That looks wrong to me. That's what I was looking at. Right. My glasses in a minute. Okay, so chain 1 at the end. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I went into the top one instead of the. You really have to make sure to get into that 3rd one. So you won't have your extra stitch there that you need. There we go. And I remember I chained that edge too tight. All right. So now I can actually see little stitches there. That's what I was doing. If you don't get into the turning chain right, you won't have your 2 little stitches to skip, but you're basically going to skip your little black 2 stitches there and go into the first double crochet and double crochet 3. So we went 7, 4, and now it's 3. 1, 2, 3. Should look like this. You're maintaining your border. Then you're going to skip. You're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're working on our second wing, top wing. And we're going to skip 4. We're going to count that 1 double crochet. We're going to miss that one and the 3 in the wing. I'm going to double crochet right into the head of the single crochet of the dragonfly, the little body. I have 2 wings. So just double crochet right into that, chain 4 again. And then we're going to skip 3, 4, and I'm going to skip 4 again, and double crochet into that bit. So it's just a mirror image on both sides. So you should have 1 unworked here, 1 double crochet unworked here. And then you count this as 1, and you have 3 stitches here. 2, you're double crocheting in. Then you're chaining 1 and skipping over and chaining, double crocheting the next double crochet to maintain that border. So now it should look like this. You're just going to keep doing that. You're going to count this as 1, 2, 3. You're going to chain 4. You're going to skip that 1, double crochet, skip the 3, yarn over it, double crochet right into the little bottom tail body of the dragon. Chain 4. Skip the 3, skip 1, so it's 4. Go into that first double crochet. And then count that as 1, 2, 3. So double crochet your next 3 again, just doing sequences of 3. Chain 1, skip 1, and double crochet in the next and maintain your border. And that's what you're going to do all the way to the end, and I'll come back and turn with you. Meet you at the end. Okay, so I am to the end of my little dragonfly top wing and counting 1, 2, 3. So should be ending on a sequence of 3. Was 7, 4, 3. Chain 1. And again we count it 1, 2, 3. Make sure you're in the 3rd one, not the 4th one. That's right. You have your stitches there and a good block. Then we chain 4, like we've been doing, and we turn. I kind of just throw it. Right. So now we skip our 2 and we are gonna go 15 stitches. We're going to double crochet, so just like we were doing before in row 2, we're doing in this row here. So 1, 2, 3. Like I've said, I've done 2 of these now where I've used, and then I have another one where I've actually used the chain stitches and gone into those. And they'll just give you a much finer look. I think like a neater, finer look. But this works out perfectly fine too. You yarn over, you go into your wing, and you just remember there were 4 chains, so you're going to do 4 stitches. So 4 double crochet right inside the wing. So slowly yarn over, side, grab your yarn, pick it up. You just want to kind of move them over, right? So you've got 3, 4, that's 7. Double crochet right into the little head space of the dragonfly. That's 8. And then 4 into the next wing. And now you've got 12 stitches. You want to make sure to count these. And right here I have one that looks kind of sloppy. Kind of over exaggerated my going around there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right. And then you've got your 3 stitches here, so that's 12, 13, 14, 15. We're right up to our border black that runs in between. So we chain 1, we skip 1 and go into the next. Double crochet. That's it. Right? So again, one more time. Count this as 1, 2, 3, and we're going for 15. So 4 inside the wing. So that was 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So right inside the wing space. And then right inside the top of the little head there of the dragonfly. 8, 4 more in the next wing space. 2, 3, 4. And that's 12, 13, 14, 15. So do those next 3 and you should be to 15. But you really want to count your stitches because you're going to be needing them to keep it in line. We chain 1 and we skip 1 into the next. So that's what we're going to do, and you can see how this brings this up. You just do this, and even now it doesn't look like it's really lifting it, but once you do the grid on the next row, it will lift it more, and it'll come up like this. So I'm just going to do that to the end. Your 3, your 4, your head of your butterfly, your 4 in your next wing, and your 3 in your next, and then your border, you just keep going to the end, working your inside of your spaces or your actual chain, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back, and you should be ending on 3. 1, 2, 3. Right. Chain 1 and count up 1, 2, 3. And double crochet into that last one. Got your little block there. Chain 4. Turn. And then all we're doing is our filet grid all the way across. So we're going to skip our 2 and double crochet into that first double crochet we've been doing. Got a little border block there. I'm going to chain 1 and skip 1 and wrap around a double crochet into the next one. That's all we're doing. Again, skipping 1, going into the next, just like we did in row 1 and at the end. Just chaining 1, skipping 1, double crocheting. Chain 1, skip 1. Chain 1, skip 1. Chain 1, skip 1. That should bring us right up to our little border. Chain 1, skip 1. And so you have your little border blocks all the way around it. You get your little your little dragonfly. Some of them end up looking a little different, which is always kind of fun. It's the magic of this little dragonfly. It might look like it's got a 2 little wings. That one does. Chain 1. May have chain 2 there. Yeah. Let me check it. Looks funny. Yeah, I would make it a little uneven. That's fine. Yeah. I chained too many there. So it's chain 1 and skip 1. Chain 1 and skip 1. Chain 1 and skip 1. And we're right up to our little border filet block. So that's how it should look. And get the lighting just right. So you should be able to see the border there. Okay. And then you just keep going and repeating these. And I'll be back at the end to show you the whole thing, but the idea. And you can play within these filet borders at the end and just do a single crochet or a double crochet all the way around it, or a half double crochet or trebles, or you could do a shell stitch. There's a million borders you can do. I haven't decided what border I'm going to do. When I do, I'll come back and make a video of it. And that's it. When you get the length you want, you just fasten off and you're done. Get your little embroidery needle and go through all your edges, make sure everything is nice and snug. Then I would wash it in a, you don't scrub it. You just kind of like dunkety dunk, squish, squish, squeeze. I use either woolite or, there's no wool in it, but it's just a gentle soap or free and clear. And I might put like a clarifying shampoo in it just to freshen it up, like Rain Fresh or vanilla or something. I don't do a lot of scent, but a little clean, fresh. Um, just a light, delicate soap, and just rinse, dunk, rinse, dunk. I use my tub. Some people have a big sink they can use, and then just rinse it really good. And if you have blocks, you can put it out on. That's great. I didn't for a long time, so I used comforters, and I put beach towels on top of my layered comforters that I laid out. And then you just stretch and pin the areas that need to be shaped. You could just go around with your hands and shape them, or just put a little pin down, straighten out to black, stretched out, maybe put a pin in a wing where it's not going straight, and just let it dry. And that's it. Thanks for hanging with me. I'll be back later to make a video about Governor Andrew Cuomo and Me Too Time's Up, and just a little bit about feelings that people might be going through that have been victimized and are now into survivorship, who were never believed and who have never had any retribution, no recourse, and also no support. And people that things that people might be feeling that have been on the other end of that too, that were falsely accused and uh, received a lot of support and a lot of accusation, and people rallied around a person that didn't have anything to go on, and how that makes us all feel. So I'll be back later to do that video. I hope you enjoy making some dragonflies and get out to see some today if you're enjoying the really warm weather. It's their season. Have fun. Take care. Bye.